guys, Stockton here, and welcome back to Game Week 16 Premier League predictions. The weekend is coming again, and the Premier League does not stop, despite the Champions League distraction and Thogdad being abroad, which means he's not with me in the room. That doesn't stop us going through every single game, beginning with
Liverpool against Brighton is another very interesting game. Two teams with the same points, two teams in the top half of the table. Now, Liverpool, all the talk has been about Mo Salah recently, about that interview, about missing the Champions League game midweek, and about the 2-year contract that he's just signed. But we shouldn't forget, Liverpool have not lost in the last 4 games. 2 wins and 2 draws. Maybe the form is coming back, and a lot of the players who missed that game midweek will be back here, although Connor Bradley sadly will be suspended. Now, they're playing a Brighton team who are actually going through a mini slump of their own, if you can count a draw and a defeat as a mini slump. Now, they're perfectly capable of coming to Anfield and getting something, but I just think we'll see normal service here. Liverpool 2, Brighton 1.
Yeah, there's nothing boring about Liverpool right now. Carnage. So Mo Salah wasn't on the trip to Milan, where they played away at Inter, and they ended up winning 1-0 with an 88th minute penalty from Szoboszlai. That is iconic. I mean, to come away with a win against such European heritage, that's very good job from Onslaught and the Liverpool board to overcome what is, they've been in the press all over. Doesn't matter. Even if you don't know football, you know that Mo Salah's gone against Liverpool. This is just massive news. The question is, does he get back into the squad for this game? Is he allowed back in? Has he apologised? Has he spoken to Onslaught? These are all the unanswered questions. And how will they do at Anfield, where last time they drew to Leeds, which wasn't, well, it was away from home, but at Anfield they've taken a few tough results. There's no doubt about it. This is where Liverpool fans will be marching to Anfield with belief that this is the match they can overcome. You know, maybe Salah will be left at the training ground again, like his recent Instagram photo, but inside that stadium, the players that helped them beat Inter Milan are likely to play again here, and to be honest, likely to win. You know, there's no doubt this is there for the taking. Hutzler and the Brighton boys have done pretty well this season. The last 2 games, slight fall off. Alexis McAllister against the old competition, the old stomping ground. Which way is it going to go? I don't know. But Brighton away from home can be solid. We already spoke about they won away at Chelsea. They've done it against the original top 6 already this season. They could win this game. Liverpool won't be fully confident yet. I'm just going to say a draw. A 1-1 draw, not high scoring, very cagey. And in the end, maybe like a Danny Welbeck equaliser, and that's it.
Burnley and Fulham are 2 teams who are struggling this season, but Burnley are struggling a lot more. They've lost the last 6 games in the league. They are 5 points from safety, and they're just lacking in confidence. And you look at their injury list, and it is long. And they're playing a Fulham team who are not that great on the road. But last time out, they went to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, and thanks to a lot of errors from Spurs, they won. So I think they can follow that up with another win. And I think Raul Jimenez will be the key here. He loves a goal against Burnley. It's going to be Burnley 0, Fulham 1.
Yes, the claret and blue against the white up in the northwest. Both these teams badly need a win. If Burnley can start to pick up a run now, they can, of course, survive. But when will those wins come is the question. And then there's Fulham, who are game by game slipping closer and closer to the dreaded drop zone. Could you believe that? After their iconic 5-4 draw. If only Josh King scored. If only Josh King scored to make it 5-5, then it would have been a 5-4 draw. Well, 5-5. But it wasn't. And then they lost to Palace at home. And now people are thinking, my God, why didn't Fulham just buy some players in the summer and actually do some investment like everyone thought was the right decision? Marco Silva thought he could maintain a team. Well, we think that. Otherwise, Marco Silva asked the owners for money and they said no. But that is beyond it. When January comes, it's investment time. But first, it's Christmas and it's December fixtures. And I think it has to be. It's a must win. You cannot continue the form they're in, Fulham. They need to turn something around. Maybe it'll be Josh King, maybe Rodrigo Muniz, maybe Smith Rowe, but they'll find one goal from somewhere away at Burnley and they'll win this game. I can't back anyone to win at home at Turf Moor right now because Burnley are just useless. You know, the form at the start, Jadon Anthony scoring for, freely and all that, hope that was in there with Scott Parker. Now I just can't back them. And until they prove me wrong, I will not change my predictions. 1-0 Fulham, 1 goal difference, low scoring. Let's see if I'm right.
Arsenal against Wolves, top against bottom. Do we really need to do this? Now, I know Arsenal lost last week away to Villa, but you look at the last 8 home games and they've won all of them. And they're playing a Wolves team. You could get odds here of 20-1 on Wolves winning because quite simply, they won't. They've lost their last 9 games in the league. You look at the last 11 Premier League away games, lost 9 and drawn 2. The only thing going in their favour in those games is that they're rarely really battered. The worst defeat they've had is 3-0, and that's going to happen here. Arsenal 3, Wolves 0.
The Emirates will be bouncing, won't it? They've just come off a smashing Champions League win away at Bruges. Even Martinelli and Madueke scored. You know, they're on fire right now. Mikel Arteta will have loved the fact they've gone from a Bruges away win to playing a similar level team, Wolverhampton Wanderers, who actually are a bit worse, and they're at home. This could be 5-0, this could be 6-0, this could be the highest scoring of the predictions videos this game. If you're looking for a high scoring match, it could be this. But last season, I think it was only Arsenal 2, Wolves 0, and away from home, they only won by 1 goal difference, maybe 1-0, I think. I could be wrong there at Molineux. So on history, it hasn't got a lot of goals, but if you look at the form, Wolves are losing everything. They've got Rob Edwards now, not too convincing, and then there's Arsenal, who really need to stay top of the division, bounce back after that loss against Villa 2-1, and I think they've got the players to do it. They've got the quality. Everyone can score right now. You've got Saka in the team, you've got Madueke, Martinelli, I've already mentioned them, but it just seems like they're getting it right. Until they face a team with a stronger squad, I don't think that winning will stop this week. So Arsenal, back-to-back wins from Champions League to Premier League from Wednesday to Saturday. 4-0, I think. 4-0. I bet that's more than Thogdad's prediction.
Nottingham Forest against Tottenham Hotspur is a really hard game to call. I mean, Forest is a team who one week can go away to Anfield and win 3-0, and another week they lose 2-0 at home to Brighton. And they're playing a Tottenham team who've also had a varied season. They've been really poor at home and on the whole quite good away from home. Now I think that late equaliser against Newcastle at St James's Park was massive because they've gone and followed that up with 2 home wins. Confidence is sky high and Tottenham are scoring a lot of goals at the moment, more than 2 goals per game, so they will score 2. The only question is, will Forest score 2? And I'm just going to go here a 2-2 draw.
Nottingham Forest against Tottenham now, and it does seem as if since the North London derby, Tottenham are back to their best. They're winning games. Thomas Frank has saved his job pretty much with the great form. Champions League at home, they won again without conceding. They're actually keeping a lot more clean sheets. Whatever they learned from getting smashed by Arsenal, it worked. They're back. I really wonder, usually in a match like this, Forest-Tottenham, we talk about Ange because obviously he managed Tottenham last year and Forest for the first 12 games of the season or 11 games. And now he's obviously not managing both, but he's clearly left an impact. If this was an Ange type of game, it would have ended like 4-4. But there is no Ange. And I've actually been to a Forest-Tottenham game before where there was only 1 goal and it was to the away team. So there is a history of Tottenham winning in the stadium since they've been in the Prem. And, they don't have Harry Kane like they did the game I was there. The vlog's on the channel ages ago. But I will say, Forest have been a little bit iffy in their recent matches, despite Sean Dyche, his first manager bounce when he came in. And now it's starting to fall off, like the Everton 3-0 smashing last week. And then there's Tottenham, who are doing really well in the Prem and the Champions League. That last home game that they won, that's a game they usually drop off, 2-0 win. And then a 3-0 win in the Champions League. So I can only say one thing. For what I learned from that Slavia Prague game is, Xavi Simons looks really solid, ready to go. They've just got to replicate what they've done there and hopefully keep another clean sheet. I'm going to say Forest 0, Tottenham 1. The same result as about 4 years ago when I watched this game live. Let's see.
Sunderland against Newcastle United. And in case you don't know, this is the Tyne-Tees derby. It's one of the biggest derbies in English football. And in the northeast of England, it is incredible. It pits brother against sister, son against father. And you know what? Last year was the last time it happened in the Cup, and it was Sunderland 0, Newcastle 3, and the celebrations in Newcastle that night were incredible. Now, before that, I think it was probably 10 years you've got to go back, because just remember, Sunderland have been in the lower leagues for a long time. Before that, Sunderland had quite a good record in this fixture, and this season at home, they are unbeaten in the league. They have been incredible, but of course the Newcastle fans know that. They would love to go to the Stadium of Light and win. Newcastle this season have been variable. Certainly on the road, they've been very poor, but then they went to the Hill Dickinson and beat Everton 4-1. So that is maybe a sign of what's to come. But all I can do here, for the sake of my security, is sit on the fence and say Sunderland 1, Newcastle 1.
The game of the week, the Tyne-Wear derby, the match that makes the Northeast look over. Actually, forget that, the world look over, because the Premier League is a global league, and this is the first First time it's happened in a while in the Premier League. And at Sunderland, at the Stadium of Light, it's going to be rocking. I was actually at the last match back when Jobe Bellingham played for Sunderland. Can you remember that? Not too long ago. And that was an FA Cup game. That was when Newcastle were a Champions League team smashing it and Sunderland were looking for a playoff finish in Championship. And still then, it looked so close. At half-time, it was drawing and then Newcastle ran away with it. And what I'll tell you is, first of all, Jobe Bellingham should have stayed at Sunderland. Looking back, look at him now. He might go on loan to Paris FC in Jan. But wow, this has such atmosphere. It has such, hatred between the two clubs. You can't describe it. You have to be there and listen to the words around you. I know there's a lot of swearing usually at a football match, but this, I tell you what, I did the impossible challenge at the World Cup. Not one of the 64 games at last World Cup compared to the atmosphere when I went to the Stadium of Light. And the vlog's on my main channel. You can go watch it. It's very, very similar, maybe even bigger. It'll be even more atmosphere come this game because the Geordies are below Sunderland in the table. So as already, without the game even going ahead, there's already bragging rights. Okay. Then you have Sunderland, who are on fire, doing really well this season. 6 games unbeaten at home. Dan Ballard, Wilson Isidore, smashing it. Reggie Labrie, everyone loving it. There's a real fight. They've got Granit Xhaka, the granite of their midfield. And Newcastle right now, no Alexander Isak. Yes, they've got Walter Marder, who some people see as an upgrade. And they do have quality with Barnes and Gordon. They're ready to go this week. It's going to be goals. There's going to be goals in this rivalry, I'll tell you that. I nearly went for a 4-goal thriller, but I thought, you know what? I don't want to bet for a draw. I don't want to back it. You've got to back Sunderland. This is their time. They cannot look. It was close when Sunderland were fighting for playoffs in the Championship and Newcastle were a Champions League club. It was close, okay? But forget form. When this match comes around, it's who wants it more. And I think they'll be more fired up, Sunderland. I think Newcastle will be scared because the Mackhams have never been this good for this game. And the pressure, the rivalry, everything comes in. And in the end, I think it'll be 1-1 for a long stretch of the match. Newcastle defend for their lives because we know they're good at that. But then someone like Wilson Isidore or Mayode will break through and score the winner. It will be limbs. There might be a pitch invasion in the middle of the season. It's that crazy. Sunderland 2, Newcastle 1. I have a feeling. That's just I bet my dad doesn't go for the same.
Crystal Palace against Man City is 4th against 2nd, which makes it the game of the weekend. It's also a repeat of last year's FA Cup final. Now, you look at Palace, they've won the last 2 games in the Premier League, but you look back to their last game at Selhurst Park, they lost to Man United. Now, this time round, the blue side of Manchester is coming down to London. And Man City recently, 11 goals scored in the last 3 Premier League games. Home form, brilliant. But you look at their away form and occasionally they lose. They've gone down to Brighton, Aston Villa and Newcastle. And particularly in that Newcastle game, they were really sloppy in front of goal. So Crystal Palace can win this game, but I don't think they will. This is going to be Palace 1, Man City 2. Phil Foden to score again.
The South Londoners, they've gone and done it. How have they beaten Fulham in the London derby? Well, West against South, shall we say. And congratulations, Palace fans. Despite your European distractions, you've gone and beaten the Whites, which is massive. But now you're at Selhurst Park to Man City. And will we see as many goals as the last time Man City travelled down to London? That's the question. 5-4. Unbelievable. And watching that game, everyone was getting involved. At first, it looked like Haaland was running the show. Foden was on top form. In that second half, it was the London team that climbed back into it. So maybe City will start early again. Maybe Haaland will score. But what will happen is, Palace, do not drop your heads. You have a good squad. I know you don't have Eze and Elise anymore, but you've still got a great squad. And we know that at home too. And you're shining in Europe. And I think if you keep pressing and attacking against this Man City team, the goals come. And that's what they have to have. Belief. That's what they have at Selhurst Park. Let's find out. But right now, I'm going to say a sneaky Man City win. They're going to get the job done. Because I've been enjoying the likes of Nico O'Reilly with those late runs. Doku with those attacking prowess, the left and the right side. And then Haaland waiting. Marmoush off the bench. I just think they'll find 2 goals from somewhere. Pep's going to get another win, but it will be tight. 2-1. So Crystal Palace, watch out, keep fighting, and maybe you'll get a draw in this game. I nearly went for a draw.
West Ham United against Aston Villa is 2 teams at opposite ends of the table. Now, West Ham just in the relegation zone, and a win here could move them out of 18th place. And you look at the last 6 games, only lost 1, won 2, and drawn 3. They're becoming the draw specialists, and a 1-1 draw here is probably a good shout, and I wonder if Thayer's gone for that. But you look at Villa's last 7 games, they have won all of them, including last week against Arsenal. So watching these 2 teams over the last few weeks, there can only be one result, and that is West Ham 1, Villa 2.
West Ham Villa. Now, the Irons have done brilliantly recently, getting draws, important results, just to keep their, survival dreams alive. Well, I say dreams. They're going to do it. They are going to survive. I believe that. But they need to keep getting results, no doubt. And now they're playing one of the strongest teams in the league, Aston Villa, who just beat Arsenal 2-1. And they can focus on the Prem because they've got no European distraction. That's probably why they're doing so well. They're going for the league, there's no doubt. And their recent form is insane. Very, very different to how they started the year. And just to be completely honest, West Ham, overall this year, it's been a very poor time, but things are starting to turn. And I know at London Stadium, they're going to make this very, very difficult. Callum Wilson will be looking for a goal. You know, they should have their Brazilian midfielder back playing Paqueta. His suspension's over, so they'll be fired up for that. Claret and Blue against Claret and Blue. There's always goals in this game. Both teams will score. I just have a feeling West Ham will keep Villa to a draw. I don't know if it'll be 1-1 or 2-2. And I usually back Villa to win. You guys know I've been on a record of backing Villa to win. So you can't roast me in the comments for saying this. But this game, West Ham, London Stadium, they'll find a way. 1-1 draw.
Brentford against Leeds United promises to be a really interesting game. I mean, Brentford this season have been win one, lose one, win one, lose one. You've got to go back 13 games before Brentford actually drew a game. And look at the last 5 home games of Brentford. They've scored 3 goals in 4 of those games, but they're playing a Leeds team. I mean, talk about goals. The last 2 games, Leeds United have scored 6 goals against Liverpool and against Chelsea. That is 4 points they got from those games, which is absolutely incredible. They're not going out without a fight. The only thing that worries me about Leeds is that they tend to concede 3 goals away from home. So I'm just going to go with the Bees here. Brentford 3, Leeds 1.
And we're staying in London for Brentford Leeds. Now, well done, Leeds. You got your draw against Liverpool. You got your win against Chelsea, but they were both at Ellen Road. Now you're going to West London, the G-Tech. What a scary name, right? But no, I do think Leeds are on form, and they've got a tactic that works recently. And Leeds fans should go to that away end with confidence, because I've been to a Brentford Leeds game before, and Leeds actually scored a last-minute goal by Rafinha on his final game for the club to keep them safe from the drop zone. Final game of the week. It was a crazy video. I think the video got like 800,000 views. Leeds survived. They almost ran on pitch, but they didn't in the end. And I just have this history of Leeds doing well at Brentford. And the Bees recently are a bit iffy. You know, they've taken some bad results. And I just got a weird feeling this is going to be a goal frenzy and end a draw. Because the Leeds boys are going to be on it. They're going to be ready to go. They need to keep picking up points to survive. And I think this is an opportunity. I really do. I can't see Brentford running away with it. I could be very wrong. Usually Brentford at home, you know I back them to win. This game, 2-2. Let's see.
Chelsea against Everton is a really interesting one because Chelsea are struggling of late. They are winless in the last 4 games, and they seem to have a problem against teams in the top half of the table. That said, you look at the last 30 home games against Everton in the league, they have lost none of them. But let's talk about Everton, because they've won 4 of the last 6 league games, and David Moyes has got them playing some really good football, defensively very strong. This is going to be super tight, could easily be a 0-0 or a 1-1, but I'm going to go Chelsea 1, Everton 0.
A Stamford Bridge early kickoff back to Chelsea, where they beat Barcelona 3-0. We can't forget that. But they're facing Everton, who smashed it. What a win, 3-0 at home. I didn't expect it to be that clear, but Kiernan Dewsbury Hall, Jack Grealish, all the boys just playing so well right now. The question is whether it continues. Now, Chelsea, they've just come off the back of a trip to Atalanta, Bergamo, where they lost 2-1. Not a good result. Maresca, an Italian manager, losing in Italy. And right now, there's a little bit of complications. You know, I mean, this year, the Premier League was for the taking. Anybody with a good run could have taken it. We know Maresca won the Club World Cup, but I don't think he's getting close to a Premier League. And right now, he's going for a bit of a stint too. A lot of Chelsea fans are not feeling fully confident. This could go either way for sure. Everton could turn up and win. We know Brighton did that this season at the Bridge as well. Sunderland did that at the Bridge. So it's possible, but I'm going to be boring and say that Chelsea edge it out. They've got the quality, I think, with the right players, Estevao, João Pedro, whoever turns up, they'll score a couple goals from somewhere. I think the Toffees will get a goal. I was very close to saying a 2-2 draw, so Everton fans turning up, believe, but I'm just going to be boring here because I want to stay above Thogdad in the points. Chelsea 2, Everton 1.
And finally, Manchester United against AFC Bournemouth, and Man United have been all right recently. You go back 9 Premier League games and they've only lost 1 of them, but the last 2 appearances at Old Trafford in the league have been poor, in particular that defeat by Everton. But they're playing a Bournemouth team who started the season superbly and then fell away badly. 2 points in the last 6 games, and what will worry them most of all is that they are shedding goals on their travels. I think United are going to win this one 2-1.
Finishing at the Old Trafford. I feel like we're finishing matches at the Old Trafford every week now. They just seem to play all their games later at home than everybody else, but They're playing Bournemouth. The Cherries are on terrible form. Maybe in Jan, they need to do some investment. Or is Iraola thinking about a different managerial role, at a bigger club? Maybe Real Madrid. Who knows? Maybe Real Madrid. Xabi Alonso seems on a tightrope, and then you've got this Spanish manager doing well. Dean Huijsen needs to find his old form too. So I don't know. Maybe I'm just saying things. But United will be favourites here. They smashed Wolves 4-0. They look great. Even Mount scored. I say even Mount scored. It's a shame to say that because Mount, I love him and I want him to do well. And go out there and score for us again because I think United will win this game. And Buemo, Mount, they're just looking good. Amarim's back to winning ways. United Strand's probably going to trim his hair soon. And I just think that this will be a win at Old Trafford, no doubt. Monday night, cold. Bournemouth won't want to be there. They'll want to get back down to Sandbanks. This is going to be United 2, Cherries 0. That is all the predictions. Let me know in the comments what you think will happen in the Tyne-Wear derby. That's the one that catches my eye. I've slightly voted towards Sunderland, but maybe you have some insight that goes another way. Maybe a Walter Marder boom will stop it. Another exciting weekend of Premier League football up the Bolton as well. We're watching and see you all soon. Take care. Bye-bye.